Good morning, children. Hope you all are keeping fine. Today we are here to learn a new poem which is titled as Sonnet, and the name of the author is Toru Dutt. Before entering into the poem, let us learn about author Toru Dutt, who was born on March 4th, 1856 in Kolkata. Toru Dutt, who died before her poetic talent could fully mature, was the daughter of the poet Govinda Dutt. She was educated in England. Her poetry shows influences of French and English poetry of the Victorian age. In her short literary career, she left behind a body of poetry called remarkable for genius. A Sheaf Gleaned in French Fields was published in 1875 when she was just 19 years old. She also wrote Ancient Burlesque. Her poetry, which is highly emotional, describes the glory of heroic deeds, domestic virtues, and nature. Bengali translator and poet from the Indian subcontinent who wrote in English and French. She died on 13th August 1877. Now, what is this sonnet? A 14-line fixed verses usually set in iambic pentameter with a fixed rhyme scheme, which is called as sonnet. Sonnet is a 14-line poem. And now let's enter into the poem. Dear students, now please open your English textbook, page number 56. The poem name is Sonnet. Do you have a park in your own town? Has it trees, plants and bushes, or more space is given to lawns? What do you think a park must have, trees or lawns? Which looks more beautiful? Why? Children, do you know what is lawn? Lawn means grassland, and you can see on this screen. And the next screen, in this picture, you can see trees in the park. And in this picture, you see grasslands, that is lawn. What do you think a park must have? Trees or lawns? Which looks more beautiful and more attractive? Yes, a park must have trees and lawns. In this picture, you can see how people are utilizing lawns as well as trees. And in this poem, Toru Dutt describes the beauty of the garden around her bungalow. Now, dear students, I am going to read the poem. Please listen carefully looking at your textbook. A sea of foliage guards our garden round, but not a sea of dull and varied green. Sharp contrast of all colors here are seen. The light green graceful tamarinds abound. Amid the mango clumps of green profound, and palms arise like pillars grey between, and over the quiet pools the simults lean, red and startling like a trumpet sound, but nothing can be lovelier than the ranges of bamboos to the eastward when the moon looks through their gaps and the white lotus changes into a cup of silver one might swoon, drunken with beauty, then or grace and gaze on a primeval Eden in Amass by Toru Dutt. Students, now you can learn some of new words and its meanings. Foliage, leaves, especially growing leaves, all the leaves on a particular plant or tree. Sea of foliage means a stretch of foliage as vast as the sea. Profound means deep. Clump, a group of trees, plants, bushes, etc. growing together. Amaze means great wonder. Primeval means sea of foliage or a stretch of foliage as vast as sea. Now here in this poem we learn some of the figure of speech, especially there are 3 similes and 3 metaphors are found. What do you mean by simile? Simile is nothing but where you can compare one thing with another using the word like or as. That is called simile. So simile is a figure of speech, that is where you can compare one thing with the another by using the words like or as. That is simile. And in this poem we can find out 3 similes. And what is metaphor? Metaphor is we can compare the thing with another by without using the words like or as. Directly we can compare one thing with another. That is called metaphor. The hidden comparison between two things without using the word like or as. That is metaphor. And in this poem also we can see 3 metaphors are found. And now let's learn about one by one the similes which are found in the poem. The first one is, and palms arise like pillars grey. In this sentence we see that the word like is there. So it is called comparing palms towards the pillars grey. And the second one is red and startling like a trumpet sound. In this also we see like, the word like is there, so it is also simile. And the third one is lotus looks like a silver cup. Here also the lotus is compared with the silver cup. So the word like is here, so this also called as a simile. And there are 3 metaphors we can see in this poem. The first one is sea of foliage. Here already we have told that metaphor is hidden comparison between two things without using the word like or as. So here also sea is compared towards the foliage directly. And the second one is sea of dull and varied green. Here also we see the metaphor comparing one thing towards the other. And the third one is quiet pools. Pools are always quiet. So comparing quiet is towards the pool. And now let's go to the poem. So already we have learned that in a park there must be having lawns as well as trees. Lawns are grasslands, and also we see lot of trees in the garden. Here you can see the people engaged in various activities under the cool shade of the trees. It looks very beautiful to see the trees of different colors in garden. that makes you very happy. And at the same time, you can see chirping of birds in the garden. That makes our minds be relaxed, make our minds very cool. Children, you also have been one or the other times in a park. Have you experienced that? I hope so. The same way here, the poet is describing the beauty of garden around her family bungalow. She tells us that her garden appeared like a sea of foliage. But she cautions us not to come to a hasty conclusion and think that it was a sea of dull and varied green. One could see sharp contrast of all colors, such as light green of the tamarinds, which grow abundantly among the mango clumps of green, profound dark green. In the first line, we see that Thorudath compares the garden foliage of sea. Garden is vast in size, the same time sea also vast in size. She is comparing both one towards the other by using the sea of foliage. And in the second line, she says the foliage of garden is as large as but not. A sea of dull unvaried green, sharp contrast of all colors here are seen. The light green graceful tamarinds abound amid the mango clumps of green profound. One could see sharp contrast of all colors, such as the light green of tamarinds, which grow abundantly among the mango clumps of green profound dark green. In between the tamarind and mango trees, the plants arise sky high like grey pillars. And the simul trees lean over the serene ponds in the garden. They are all dashing red in color, which glares in our eyes, similar to the startling sound of the trumpet. The poet is enchanted by the bamboos in the east of the garden. She tells us that no other sight in the garden is as lovely as the bamboo ranges. They appear like mountain ranges when the moon peeps through their gaps. In the moonlight, the wild lotus transforms itself into a cap of silver. The beauty of the garden was so enchanting that one can get intoxicated by beauty and go on gazing the primeval Eden in utter amazement. Eden is the beautiful garden on earth created for the first human beings of the earth, Adam and Eve. By this, we end the poem. And students, have you understood the poem? Now I am going to ask you few questions. And the first question is, who wrote the poem sonnet? And the second one is, what grey pillars arise between the mango and the tamarind trees? The third question is, what is the meaning of profound? Students, if you are unable to answer these questions, please watch the video and listen it properly and try to answer the questions. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.